Hey guys, this time around we're going to be going a little bit more into the MIDI editor than we've gone in the past. This is a very popular option for a lot of people to do when they're working on music, are things like the Pitchbend. So a very simple thing to do if you've got yourself a MIDI keyboard is if you're playing around with the notes and you use your Pitchbend, you can kind of hear the note bending up and down depending on which way you're going with it. Now that's actually a very useful musical tool depending on what you want to do with your music. So if we listen back to our bass line that I just did here real quick. Very simple, nothing too drastic here. But for example, right here where I've got these two notes just kind of going downwards, what I could do instead is actually bend up and then come back down, depending to do kind of the same effect. And instead of having two notes kind of hit separately, I can actually just get one long note and bend it down. So if I extend that note out, and I'll just expand this here so that's easier to see, you can actually see over here that you have a little drop down menu. This allows you to change different continuous control. So we've already covered the CCs in the automation video. If you haven't looked at that one, go take a look at it real quick. So you can write your own curve. You can write new curves and automation clips directly in the MIDI editor. For today, we're just going to be using the Pitchbend. So we're going to switch over to Pitchbend. And just like before, if I go into the draw tool, and depending on whatever your quantize snap is at, you can actually go in and draw in a new curve for whatever you want. Now this is a little bit kind of steep for me here, so I'm actually going to switch my quantize. That way I can actually just kind of do a nice bend downwards. Now this is one of the, I'll be honest, a little bit of one of the annoying things with Cubase is that you'll notice that this doesn't quite reach back down to the median point here. So this is pitching up and then moving its way down. Usually what you'll want is to actually go in and reset that back to 0. So over here you get a little bit of a value. You get a value change depending on where your note is at. You can also see it directly next to the cursor. So I want to make sure that that's back down to 0. And it can be a little bit tricky to get it at first. It just takes time. And we'll reset that bend there. And we're going to take this note and we're going to bring it back down to C. That way if we play this back, so now we got that cool kind of bend effect happening there. We can do the kind of the same idea here. We're going to take this note and extend it. Let's make sure that we're okay there. We're going to take our quantize and go a little bit more in depth. Now I'm doing kind of a line there, so Cubase actually gives us a neat little line tool that we can actually use. So we can end at 0 and we'll start at the start of that note there, and we'll make sure that we get a nice perfect straight line, which is kind of handy if I'm honest. Now every single plugin will generally tend to give you the options to control how far each of these are. So MIDI controls are limited to 128 steps in any direction. So kind of the up there is 128 steps and the down is 128 steps. So if I open up my plugin here, and I'm using Zeta, so there it is there. I can actually change how much of a bend up and bend down do I want to do in terms of notes. So right now I've got a bend of going up 3 notes and a bend going down 3 notes. So if I play that back, we can actually hear just that. Let's bring our kick drum back in there. So now we got our neat little pitch bend bass line going on. We'll bring our guitar back in. and it's that easy to add in a pitch bend. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it with a pitch bend. This right here will allow you to switch to a lot of different options. So, for example, the velocity allows you to control how hard are you actually kind of pressing the key on your MIDI keyboard. If you're drawing this in through the MIDI editor, you can actually kind of change certain notes to be more emphasized or less emphasized. And you'll notice that they change color. The brighter the red, the harder it's being pressed. Now, depending on the synths, depending on the VSTs that you're using, that may be more pronounced, less pronounced. It all comes down to really how the plugin is behaving and how you've got your sound set up. But literally, if you want to add in MIDI automation for velocity, pitch bend, it's that simple.